My beloved child, there is a moment in your life when God begins to pull back the veil you thought would always remain closed. A moment when the truth that has been hiding in the shadows begins to step forward, slow but unstoppable, like the dawn. And right now, God wants you to prepare your heart, because you are entering that moment. You have been sensing a shift, a pulling, a tug in your spirit that you could not fully explain. You felt something was off, even when everything looked fine on the surface. You felt divided between what your heart hoped for and what your intuition kept whispering to you in the quiet hours. You tried to silence your own spirit so you could keep believing the version of love you were shown. You kept telling yourself you were overthinking, that you were being too emotional, too sensitive, too insecure. You blamed yourself for the tension you felt. But God says, your spirit wasn't lying. Those whispers weren't fear, they were the early warnings of my protection. For months, maybe even years, you gave someone the benefit of the doubt. You kept loving with sincerity even when the energy you received was inconsistent, half present, half absent, warm one moment and cold the next. You tried to convince yourself it was just a bad day, a tough season, a temporary distance. You assumed that if you just loved harder, showed up louder, offered more patience, compromised more of your needs, and swallowed the ache in your chest, things would return to harmony. You believed their words even when their actions didn't match. You stretched yourself emotionally until you were exhausted from hoping, tired from showing up, drained from trying to read between the lines of someone who never spoke clearly. God saw you. He watched you give love without receiving its fullness in return. He watched you pray for clarity, pray for alignment, pray for peace, but still walk through confusion day after day. And now God is finally saying, enough. God is about to unmask the truth you have been sensing but avoiding. Not to hurt you, but to heal you. Not to punish the other person, but to free you from entanglements that were quietly stealing your peace. God is not exposing this person because He wants you to judge them, but because He wants you to no longer judge yourself for the feelings you kept suppressing. He wants you to see clearly so you can stop doubting what your spirit already knew. For too long, you tried to make excuses for someone who didn't show you the fullness of the love they claimed to have. They pretended to love you in ways that sounded convincing but lacked depth. They spoke about feelings, but avoided responsibility. They offered affection, but withheld consistency. They gave you hope, but never a commitment. They kept you close enough to not lose you, but far enough to never be accountable to you. And God says, that is not love. Love does not hide in shadows or need double meanings. Love does not leave you wondering whether you matter. Love does not excuse dishonesty with charm. Love does not use emotions as a temporary comfort. Love does not confuse, manipulate, or take advantage of the softness of your heart. You deserve a love that is steady, intentional, and aligned with truth, not one that is held together by emotional performance. God is about to reveal the intentions behind this person's actions, the things they said with sweetness, the things they avoided with silence, the things they promised with no intention to fulfill, the things they hid in fear of losing control over your heart. They pretended to love you on the surface, but they never allowed their heart to align with their words. They enjoyed the idea of your presence but feared the responsibility of your soul. They loved the way you made them feel, but not enough to give you the security you deserved. They wanted your heart, but not the covenant that comes with it, and yet, despite all of this, God does not want you to harden your heart. That is why He is the one revealing the truth, to protect you, not to turn you bitter. Every tear you shed, every moment you questioned yourself, every silent night you spent overthinking, God counted all of it. And He is saying today, you were not foolish. You were faithful. You were not naive. You were loving. You were not delusional. You were spiritually aware. The problem was never your heart, it was the immaturity of theirs. This is why God needs to unmask their intentions, because if He doesn't, you will keep giving your heart to someone who was only giving you half of theirs. And God never created you to live on half-love. There is a reason the truth is coming out now. You are entering a season of emotional elevation, spiritual awakening, and personal restoration. The old version of you, the one who tolerated inconsistency, is fading. The version of you who tied your worth to someone's attention is dissolving. The you who begged for reciprocity is disappearing. You are being upgraded in spirit. And anyone who cannot meet you there will naturally fall away. God is cutting the ties that your heart is too loyal to sever on its own. God is removing the masks you were too loving to question. God is revealing what you were too hopeful to see. Because your next chapter cannot be built on assumptions, illusions, mixed signals, or emotional confusion. Your next chapter requires clarity, honesty, and alignment. This truth will not destroy you. It will free you. You may feel disappointment rising right now, but God says, do not fear the revelation. Fear the chains that would bind you if the truth remained hidden. Fear staying stuck in a bond that was never meant to define your future. God is not exposing this person to embarrass you. He is exposing the situation to empower you. You have prayed for discernment, and God is answering through exposure. You will soon see patterns you once ignored. You will remember conversations that suddenly make sense. You will feel your soul exhale as the confusion lifts. Where you once begged for clarity, clarity will now find you. Where you once waited for their words, God will give you understanding without them. Where you once tolerated uncertainty, you will now walk with authority. You are stepping into a period where God will restore your emotional strength. The heaviness you have carried will begin to lift. The attachment that consumed you will begin to fade. The grip this person had on your peace will break. God is rewiring your heart, not to forget the experience, but to rise above it. You will not crave what confused you. You will not chase what drained you. You will not mourn what was built on false intentions. You will outgrow it effortlessly, gracefully, powerfully, and as you rise, God will bring into your life people who are aligned with truth. People who do not pretend. People who do not hide. People who do not fear commitment. People who do not use your heart as a temporary shelter. People who show up fully, consistently, willingly. People who reflect the love you were always meant to receive. The unmasking of this situation is not the end of your story, it is the cleansing before your blessing. God is saying, prepare. What is coming will make you understand why this had to be revealed now. Had you stayed unaware, you would have settled for a love beneath your calling. Had you stayed blind, you would have built your future with someone who was only meant to be a lesson. Had you stayed attached, you would have missed the person God is preparing for you. Someone whose intentions will not need to be unmasked because they will love you openly, honestly, and fully. God is closing this chapter gently, but firmly. You will not beg for answers. You will not plead for closure. You will not break trying to fix what was never genuine. You will simply shift, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, into a place they can no longer reach. That is the power of divine revelation. It elevates you above what once held you captive. This is your season of detachment from anything that was not real. Your season of release from anything that was not aligned. Your season of protection from anything that was disguised as love. And in the midst of this truth, God wants you to know, your heart is still precious. Your love is still powerful. Your sincerity is still holy. Do not let someone else's confusion make you doubt the value of your spirit. God is not just exposing their intentions, He is revealing your worth. There is a point in your journey when God stops allowing you to romanticize someone's potential and begins showing you the truth of who they are in this season. That moment is now. You held on because you saw glimpses of who they could be, the parts of them that surfaced only in rare moments of vulnerability. You tried to believe those flashes were the real version of them, hidden beneath fear or past pain or unresolved wounds. But God is saying, potential is not the same as intention. Many people have the potential to love deeply, but not everyone has the intention to do so. And the one you've been holding onto has intentions that are about to be uncovered. This person enjoyed being loved by you. They liked the way your presence made them feel supported, admired, understood. They liked the comfort of knowing you were always there, always forgiving, always patient. But while you were loving with both hands, they held back with one. They rationed their affection. They managed their vulnerability like a negotiation. They made sure they never gave you enough to feel secure, but never so little that you would walk away. They kept you suspended, emotionally hanging between hope and uncertainty. And God says, I am breaking that cycle now. What you thought was love was often their fear wearing the costume of affection. They pretended to love you because loving you openly required honesty they weren't ready for. They liked the attention you gave, but not the accountability that real love demands. They liked the idea of a relationship, but not the responsibility of showing up consistently. They liked intimacy, but not commitment. They wanted connection without covenant. They wanted passion without promise. And God is stepping between you and this illusion, because your destiny requires a love that is whole, not half-formed. Do not blame yourself for wanting to believe in them. You saw their potential because you are wired to see the best in people. You loved from a pure place, and God honors that. But God is removing your spiritual blindfold, because what lies ahead cannot coexist with deception. You cannot step into your next season carrying someone who was sent only to teach you discernment. You cannot fight for a future with someone who refuses to fight for truth. You cannot keep nurturing a connection that was meant to be temporary, no matter how much your heart hoped it could grow into more. God is stepping in because He knows you. He knows your loyalty, your softness, your depth. He knows that when you love thoroughly. And He also knows that without revelation, you might continue pouring into someone who never planned to pour back. God has watched you hold on to this person tighter than they held on to you. He watched you break your own heart trying to interpret their inconsistencies. He watched you try to explain their silence, rationalize their distance, excuse their lack of effort. But God says, I am not letting you shrink yourself to fit someone who cannot carry the weight of your heart. This revelation may sting at first, but it will save you. God is not exposing this person to shame them, He is exposing them to shield you. You may soon witness truths that confirm what your intuition whispered. Their actions may shift in ways that highlight what they've been hiding. Their behavior may suddenly feel obvious. Things they once concealed will start surfacing. God will shine light into the places where their intentions were blurry. And as the truth unfolds, your spirit will exhale for the first time in a long time. You will feel your clarity return. You will feel your self-worth rise. You will feel the fog lift, the emotional tug-of-war you've been stuck in will end. The questions you kept replaying will lose their power. The doubts that kept you awake at night will fade as truth replaces confusion. You will no longer crave answers from their lips, because God Himself will show you what you need to see. You will suddenly understand that the love you were giving was far deeper than the love they were capable of offering. You will realize that their mixed signals were not signs of complexity, but signs of avoidance. They were not torn, they were withholding. They were not confused, they were cautious. They were not uncertain, they were unprepared, and yet, even in this revelation, God does not want you to harden your heart. You are not being shown this so you will turn cold. You are being shown this so you can loosen your grip and step into healthier territory. Your healing is not found in bitterness, but in understanding. Your peace is not found in revenge, but in release. God is unmasking intentions, not so you will hate this person, but so you will stop harming yourself by trying to love them past where they are capable of going. This is a divine interruption. A divine redirection. A divine rescue. And though it may feel like loss, it is actually protection. God is realigning your emotions so that the next person in your life will not have to heal wounds caused by someone who never intended to love you fully. God is making room for a connection that will not require interpretation. A love that will not require guessing. A bond that will not require forcing. You will not need to decipher mixed signals or chase clarity. The love God has for you will feel like peace, not confusion. This revelation is clearing the path for the one who is truly meant for you, someone who will not pretend to love you, but will love you with truth. Someone who will not hide behind fear, but will stand in commitment. Someone who will not run from vulnerability, but will lean into it. Someone who will not take your heart for granted, but will guard it with sincerity. Someone who will speak clearly, show up consistently, and love intentionally, and when that person enters your life, you will look back on this moment of unmasking and say, God, thank you. If you had not exposed what was false, would have never been free to receive what is real. There comes a moment when God finishes what He started, a moment when the truth He has been gently preparing your heart for finally settles into your spirit with clarity, strength, and peace. You may feel the last pieces of the old attachment loosening, falling away like dust from hands that no longer need to hold what was never meant for them. In this final part of your message, God wants to close what has been draining you and open what has been waiting for you. You have carried so much within yourself: hope, confusion, longing, loyalty, frustration, tenderness, disappointment. You held all of it quietly, believing that your patience might eventually convince them to choose honesty. You believed that if you stayed long enough, showed love long enough, remained gentle long enough, something inside them would shift. It's not because you were weak, it's because you are strong enough to love deeply. But now God is saying, your love deserves a place where it does not need to prove itself to be received. You deserve someone who recognizes your heart the first time, not after losing access to it. This person pretended to love you in ways that made you feel seen momentarily, but unseen consistently. They mirrored affection without embodying it. They held your attention without holding your heart. They took comfort in your closeness without giving you the security of theirs. They pulled you in when they were lonely, pushed you away when responsibility appeared. They created an echo of love, but not the substance of it. And God is telling you today, I am closing the chapter of imitation so I can open the chapter of authenticity. The unmasking you are experiencing is not meant to break you, it is meant to realign you. You may feel flashes of hurt as truth settles, because illusions always dissolve with a sting. But that sting is cleansing you. It is removing the residue of false attachment. It is washing out the emotional debris that once kept you tied to uncertainty. God is removing the spiritual fog from your eyes so that when real love arrives, you will not confuse it with performance, pretense, or inconsistency. You are not losing anything real. What leaves now was never sustainable. What falls away now was never grounded in truth. What breaks now was already cracked beneath the surface. God is simply revealing what was hidden so you will no longer blame yourself for sensing what your heart already knew. This is your confirmation. This is the closure you never received. This is the ending your soul needed so you can enter the beginning God prepared, and He wants you to hear this clearly: you did not fail. You did not fall short. You did not imagine the moments of connection, but you also did not imagine the imbalance. You were loving someone who was not ready for the fullness you carry. They were drawn to your light but afraid of their own shadows. They were attracted to your strength but intimidated by your depth. They wanted your warmth but not the transformation that true love requires. And God is saying, that is not your burden. You have been carrying emotional weight that was never yours to hold. The responsibility for their inconsistency was never yours. The burden of their avoidance was never yours. The guilt for their mixed signals was never yours. God is breaking that off you now. Your spirit is about to feel lighter than it has in months, maybe years. You are entering a season where you will no longer exhaust yourself interpreting someone's unspoken intentions. You will no longer stretch yourself emotionally to compensate for someone's lack of effort. You will no longer settle for affection that evaporates when commitment is mentioned. This is your release. This is your freedom. This is God pulling you out of emotional limbo and placing you onto solid ground. A foundation where love is not performed, but lived. Where words are not empty, but supported by action. Where connection is not unpredictable, but secure. Where affection is not rationed, but abundant. Where you are not an option, but a priority, and as this revelation closes, God wants to prepare your heart for what's coming next. There is someone prepared for you, not in the distant future, but in divine timing that is closer than you expect. Someone whose heart is healed enough to love with intention. Someone whose integrity allows them to be fully honest. Someone who will not fear the depth of your love because they are ready to match it. Someone who will arrive without masks, without confusion, without mixed signals. Someone who will make you understand why God needed to remove the one who pretended to love you. You will not have to suffer for love anymore. You will not have to compete for clarity. You will not have to chase presence. You will not have to decipher hidden motives. You will not have to shrink your worth to fit someone's emotional limitations. The next person God brings will be aligned with your spirit, not your wounds. They will speak love fluently, not fragmentedly. They will show up every day, not only when it benefits them. They will see you, choose you, and remain consistent, but before they arrive, God is cleansing your heart from the residue of the counterfeit. Every memory that once felt heavy will soon feel neutral. Every longing that once made you ache will fade. Every emotional attachment that once pulled you backward will loosen. You will feel your spirit rising above what tried to keep you stuck. And when that happens, you will realize that God did not remove this person from your life, He removed you from their reach. Because your calling, your purpose, and your future relationships require someone who is capable of loving you at the level you are destined to live. The truth may feel sharp, but the healing will feel soft. You will wake up one day soon and notice that the pain is gone. The confusion is gone. The longing is gone. The attachment is gone. And in its place will be peace, a peace that comes only from God, a peace that confirms you were saved from something that would have drained your spirit. This is your final message in this chapter. Trust the unmasking. Trust the exposure. Trust the removal. Trust the release. God is not taking something from you, He is making space for what you truly deserve. And once it arrives, you will look back and thank God that He loved you enough to show you the truth before it was too late.